It's the Tip of a Radio Show. We are back here, ladies and gentlemen, on S Street Media with your boy, Willie K. Jenna G. Kate, and Honey Brooklyn.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the calls that we got prior to this. Come here, you get up fucking calls.
They all want to know about.
That sounded really good though. Like, wow, we're getting calls. That's really.
They want to become the trans mercenary. Look at the gun she carries. Trans mercenary.
I see that.
We want to talk guns. We're going to talk guns and trans people and stuff like that. So. We have our special guest host, Kate. Kate is a trans woman.
Yeah.
I have to make sure I got that right. That makes guns. So a trans woman that makes these types.
So she's badass, is what we're saying.
We got to specify here, just so I don't actually get, federal agents showing up in my place.
Yeah, she's not really a gun maker.
They're for foam darts.
Oh, shit.
Not for bullets.
Nerf guns.
So Nerf, just put Nerf in front of it.
Yeah.
Nerf guns.
It sounded so edgy, like, ooh, that really sounded good, though.
Good. So you see motherfuckers coming here with
we don't want to cause no
suits
problems
on.
for Kate, though. Yeah, we don't want to fuck up Kate's New Year. Should we who's at the door? Yeah. Let's not do that.
No.
I don't need ATF problems.
Right. No. What's going to happen is the feds are going to come in here and they're going to ask me, say, sir, can you leave? They're going to tell me, take me, and the brother over here. They're going to take us, and we're going to really? We didn't make it. We just, But,
it is what it is.
I was going to say, you're not wrong.
Hey. Like, damn, sorry.
Sorry, I only got shot in the ass by that.
Yeah. So Kate, tell us a little bit about your life, your transition.
Okay, so first I'm going to start with some basic terminology stuff. The term transgender, it just means that your gender, which is the part of it that's in your head, who you are, doesn't line up with what they told you were when you popped out of your mom.
Okay.
That's a good explanation.
That's the basics of it.
Mm-hmm.
That can mean anything from we like to say what you were assigned at birth. So I was assigned male at birth.
Mm-hmm.
They were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
When did you realize that, Kate?
I was going to say, in my case, I realized really early on. I was 2.5 when I figured that part out, and I was raised Catholic, so they made very sure that I knew that was wrong from an early age.
Wow.
Well, what is that feeling come from? You're already in existence as a particular person.
The easiest way that I've found, how do you know you're male?
Because I got it going on. Yeah. Body-wise.
Do you ever question the fact that you're male?
No, unquestioned.
You don't question it.
Unquestioned still.
Nearly universally, trans people will question that, very, very much. Some a little bit less so, because the whole point, the whole part of the dysphoria thing is thinking that part of your body doesn't fit with what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And not every trans person has it. It's pretty common, but it's not necessary to know that your gender is not what they told you it was.
Is it a matter of them not telling you? Is it a matter of you not feeling that's what it was? You're being told of who you are, but maybe is it the feeling?
The feeling is it's more of an innate knowledge than a feel. I know I'm female. It's just that's a fact to me.
What is it that you think makes a female, Kate?
Is one of those things really, really hard to describe, and it's basically different for every person who is female.
Okay.
I don't know that there's necessarily words for it. It's more of just, for me specifically, which is the only person I can really speak for, I just know.
Okay.
I see other women, and I'm yes, those are people like me. Okay.
Right.
Easy.
Did anybody ever talk to you about feminine and masculine energy? Have you ever? Did you ever have anybody when you were younger in your life to tell you anything about that? No.
Like I said, I was raised Catholic, so
Okay, so I mean, and everybody just there wasn't anybody that had awareness of that you have.
I'm sure
masculine and
I'm sure
feminine
there were
energy?
people around who had plenty of awareness.
Maybe not on that line, on that level,
But
though.
that would be the kind of thing where if you talked about it, that's evil because it's not Jesus.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like the U.S. is really bad for that, and like plenty of other countries are too.
And a
but,
lot of
like,
people just don't like to talk about things. They like to just, oh no, let's not talk
we
about
don't have
that.
those conversations. We can't.
Right.
We can't talk about it.
Where are there other places in the world that are very open to trans?
well,
Germany.
an interesting example.
jobs?
I was going to say they had some camps about that. Actually, even before they started putting their own Jewish citizens into camps, anybody whose gender didn't seem to match up with what they thought it should be got a nice pink triangle armband and got put in the camps.
wow.
Yeah, it was. You got to jump to the front of the line.
Talk.
One of
Wow.
one of the things that you hear about, the Nazis did book burnings of dangerous literature. Well, one of the main things that they did was burn books about gender and gender identity and stuff and trans people. Like they burned the Institute of Transsexualism to the ground.
Wow.
Like Germany was one of the forefront places in research before Nazis into anything related to gender stuff. Like
Before people that were proud of their skin color was the most important thing in their life.
Germany. Where other places?
so that's a place that was bad and is now like okay. Someplace that's most Native American cultures actually were pretty good and generally still are with gender nonconformity, which is just anything where you're not sticking to the strict definition of you have pee-pee, you're male, you have vajayjay, you're female.
Pussy and vagina for those who don't know what you're talking about.
That's,
You can actually just.
I think is pretty childish to actually think that way to start with, but like most people haven't been exposed to the idea that it could be something other than that. And India is a good place for that. Like for forever, India's just been like, yeah, sometimes people's gender doesn't quite line up with the things that are between their legs. Whatever.
So, but if we think back in history, like that's how it was before the Catholic Church came through.
And that's a fun one too, because it wasn't necessarily like the Catholic
Like
Church
Roman?
at
Are you talking
first.
Roman.
Yeah.
Like,
It was the Catholic Church, or the early Christian Church before they were specifically Catholic, trying to appease conservative Romans, and they're like, "Oh yeah, our religion says that. Yeah, totally. It's not in the books. Don't worry, it says that."
Wow.
Did when you transitioned, did anything play in your mind like religion thing or
I'd pretty much given up on religion years before. By the point I publicly transitioned, because shit's expensive. Hormones are expensive. You want a hormone replacement, it's expensive. If you don't have insurance that covers it. Most insurance covers it now, which is good. But God, if you don't have insurance, it is you're spending $300-400 a month minimum.
Wait, so let's preference it. Most insurance in the New York metro area covers it. There's a
Most
lot of-
insurance in the U.S.
Oh,
covers
in the
it
U.S.
now.
covers it
Yeah.
now? Okay.
what protections? What health protections do trans actually have or cover?
In the New York metro area,
We'll just stick to there.
things are pretty damn good.
Oh, okay.
Like you come out here, they will be like, okay, you have your insurance, or you don't have insurance, can't afford it. Well, we'll get you insurance, and then you get therapy. Your therapist says, oh yeah, it makes sense that you should have hormone replacement. You go to your doctor, they prescribe it.
So a therapist is a prerequisite in order for you to get.
Here it is. Other places it's not. The best test that we've got for whether or not somebody's trans to date now is ask them.
Wow.
Yeah, you pretty much know
Like, it's-
what it's like to be in the skin that you're in.
Like the best test that we have is, hey,
communication.
is your gender what it says on this little piece of paper that came out when you popped out? No? Oh, okay, you're trans then. That's the best test.
Okay.
How else are you going to test the person?
Like,
There's a blood
Right.
test for it.
Take a
Take a blood
multiple
test.
choice
Take a
test.
brain sample.
like the only other thing
a
you
semen
could
sample?
possibly ever get to is like if you had brain scans of every individual human and came up with some standard for this is this gender, this is that gender, this is this other gender, this is this gender.
But that can even change over time.
Exactly.
Well,
like
yes.
not
Sure.
like that much necessarily, but
Right.
enough.
Yeah.
Enough to where it's going to screw up all any testing you do on that. You know, and half of gender is a social construct anyway. So
What
For sure. I
What-
agree with that.
what I know once you transition, you have to go through a convincing stage. Not convincing who you are, but your people
convincing everyone else
that you're.
Yeah,
you know.
and honestly, the most common thing to have happen there when you come out and you tell people that you know in your life is most of them will no longer be in your life. That is the most common thing to have happen. If not all of them, will decide that they no longer want you in their life if you're not going to act and look the way they thought you would or should.
Would you say that's an American thing, or is that just a global thing?
It's worse in America than some other places, but it's not great on most of the planet.
Yeah.
I guess the consequence depends on the region of the world. I think more the Arabic ones may stone you. Or,
It's-
or-
it's-
or-
Arab countries are interesting on that one because some interpretations of the Quran say that so long as you are heterosexual, you can be trans all day long. So like as long as like if I was in I think the United Arab Emirates actually is set up that way, where if I was there and I was assigned male at birth and I'm like, no, I'm female, they're like, well, as long as you take a husband, as long as a husband will have you, you're fine.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
Just like
'cause-
in other, like, and I'm not going to say specific religions, but if you just pay and do your tithing, you can do whatever you want, can't you? Isn't that how it works in a
Don't
lot
ask
of
me.
religions?
I'm not of that religion to know if that's the case. Is that
Well, a fun one is
a fun one religion?
yeah, okay, fun. You know, an interesting religion for being trans in is if you're Jewish, depending on with which orthodoxy you're in. Either they can be extremely accepting because some older translations of the Torah actually list up to 7 different genders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which it's like
I
okay,
didn't know that.
well, if you look at all the times the word eunuch's used in the Bible,
Eunuchs?
the word eunuch, which specifically is somebody who's assigned male at birth and has either their testicles or their testicles and penis removed at some point, they get to be a eunuch then. Commonly, it was one of those things where they'd have a large, burly dude who wants to serve, or possibly they would have been, a slave in a kingdom, and I need somebody to guard the princess who can't rape
Fuck
the
her.
princess.
Right, can't
like,
fuck her, so
like we can't
we're
have
gonna take his
anybody.
dick.
So like, here's the thing: you're big and strong. You want a position of power? Cool. You're a eunuch now.
So you cut off his meat and veg.
But that's only one thing. That's eunuch. And if you look in the Bible, they use eunuch all over the place, and it doesn't always mean that thing because they just picked that translation because that was the easiest one to get across to people.
To make it relatable.
Like
Wow.
some of the genders would be like, okay, this person, like very basic, this person was born with a penis. They fulfill a female role in society, and that's one word. Or this person was born with a vagina, they fulfill a male role in society, that's another word. Or this person was born with one or the other, they don't fulfill either of those roles, but they do some other stuff. Like their gender is not quite either of those. And the old Torah stuff had like 7 different things, male, female, and 5 other ones, including eunuch.
Wow.
Yeah. And so now, like, you don't think about that. Like, it's one of those things where translations of different religious texts over the years just change.
Do anybody, just to be a dick, they still call you by your previous name just to be a dick?
Not anybody I talk to.
Like family, like people that, like someone in your family that
Like, there were some for a while that just decided they weren't going to, and I just didn't talk to them at all, and they eventually changed their minds. It actually was interesting. My uncle, who had originally been in seminary to become a Catholic priest before he met his wife. He had somebody that he worked with come out as trans, and he already knew her before she came out, and him getting to know her as herself helped him realize that, oh, trans people are just people.
Right,
They've
just get a
actually
better understanding. Of
yeah,
where they're coming
and so
from,
he
where
talked to the
they're
rest of the family after that point, and they're like, oh, well, he was almost a Catholic priest. He's okay to listen to. Catholics.
And a lot of it is like people that, like we were just talking, like just not exposed to it. To me,
Yeah.
that was just part of life because I grew up here.
Right.
And there was so many people that I was encountering that there were people like that.
Yeah.
And there
That
were
it
people that were
wasn't a-
ashamed to like that. And you kind of knew the people that kind of tried to hide it because it was more obvious for the people that were hiding it.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Could see that.
there've actually been studies done where it shows that people that know that they know a trans person, 75% of the time, they want trans people to have normal rights like everyone else.
Right.
And people that do not know that they know a trans person, because a lot of people know trans people, they don't know they're trans.
Correct.
Because
Right.
there's plenty of trans people that just aren't going to tell you about it because they don't want to
Because they
find
wanna
out.
still be your
They
friend
don't
and
want to
think that
find
you'll
out the
leave.
hard way that you're going to freak out about it.
Right.
But the people that don't know a trans person or don't realize they do, only about 25% of them say that trans people deserve equal rights. So, like, that's a 50% jump just by, knowing that you know a trans person.
Would you say that trans people have equal rights? Do you say they have limited rights? Where would you categorize in terms of protection, liberties?
Usually, look at it like any minority. You look at the people that aren't part of that minority have a privilege that those that are part of it don't have. Like the opposite of trans in Latin is cis, meaning on the same side of, whereas trans means on the opposite side of. So cisgender people that identify with the gender they were assigned at birth, have cis privilege.
Like you.
Yeah, so like
You're a cis male.
yeah,
Of a cis male?
you are that's and a word that describes you. It's not all of you, but
I guess.
Like I'm a cis
Yeah.
male.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
a cis male.
So are you.
What is it? So what does that mean I am?
it means when you popped out, they put down an M, and you're like, yes.
You were like,
Yes,
I
yes.
have a dick and I am a man.
Yep.
Well, okay.
Yeah, so then that would
Not-
be that would be your
I
label.
doubled
if,
up. I said, are you sure?
if you wore that label,
Okay,
if you're
it's
going to
one
put
of
a
those.
label on, that would be. Your
There's a lot of
cis.
people that say they don't like the idea of having that label exist, but it's not a label that you necessarily have to use. It's just a descriptor. It's just
But-
something that identifies you as not trans rather than
Trans.
something that
or
you're.
gay or whatever.
But I don't. Well, let me ask you this, and anyone of y'all can answer this. Are you able to? What's an age that you're able to honestly identify who you are?
See, that varies basically for everyone.
I would
Like,
say 50.
No. I would say.
Oh, you're talking just gender, or you're
I'm
talking
about. I'm sure. I'm,
like it takes a long time to get to know you, doesn't it? Aren't you still? I'm still getting to know me every day.
well,
Aren't you?
No, but as far as like your gender,
Yes.
I think that everybody's different, but I think that you can be, I mean, I don't know, when you start to become aware of how you're interacting with the world.
Like Dwayne Wade's son transitioned into a girl.
so his daughter.
Is it? No, isn't it like 11 or 12 or preteen? All right, preteen.
Okay,
So
preteen.
we would say his daughter, because even when you talk about the past, is most trans people don't really want to think about that too much because it usually sucked. Because trying to pretend to be somebody you're not just generally sucks.
So at that age, preteen, are they able or are they
Well,
old enough?
I think before we started, like I mentioned, I
sorry.
figured it out when I was like 2.5.
Honestly, really?
Yeah, I mean, I have a very distinct memory of hanging out with the other girls, playing with the toys in the corner, and all the boys at daycare were having fun pushing each other over. And I was wondering what the heck was wrong with them. But it was every single one of them there. Yeah, and that was a very distinct memory that I have. And obviously, like, that's not everything, but that's the first time where it was really clear to me that
Clear.
I'm
And
not
you
like-
started to question
that like
whether
I'm
you,
not like them. Like it was just blatantly obvious there. Like I would in no way appreciate, just causing others pain for entertainment.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of other little boys, I'm sure, that maybe wouldn't want to be causing pain.
And no, there's
No,
plenty
are
that
they all
wouldn't.
just-
And obviously that's again, it's not universal or anything.
Right, but just under those circumstances, it was
Yeah,
like all
in-
the boys were doing this and all the girls were doing this, and you
Yeah.
were feeling
Right.
what the girls were doing and not what
Exactly.
the
And
We
that
also have
just
we have another
kept
question.
going.
We have an outside
Yeah.
question.
As a child, 5 and under, I have sisters. I played with dolls.
Oh.
My mother told me don't play with dolls. That made me gay. I did not know, was I supposed to be a woman? Like this, I think that as a child, we do things just cause. I don't think that it's
Yeah.
a male or female thing. I think that we see what other people doing it, and we do it, because I used to play with dolls.
And you know what? Like there's like nothing involved in that entire process is going to make you trans, gay, or anything else other than what you already are or going to be. Like that's going to have zero effect other than possibly making you have more empathy because like you're actually talking to people instead of just doing activities that are, like rough and painful.
I got screamed at. My mother, as a baby, had the dolls, my
Yeah.
dolls, my sisters teach me, and my mother came in and yelled at me about that. She said, "Don't play with. I shouldn't be playing with dolls." But what I'm saying is that the time that we make these choices? Because I didn't think that I was looking at as this is a girl or boy thing. I saw my sisters doing something.
Right, you're
I
just
wanted to
playing.
do
Yeah,
having
like
fun,
you
right.
were just playing with your siblings,
Yeah.
and that's a normal kid thing. Like that's not necessarily gendered. Like that doesn't have anything to do with gender or sexuality, and it's weird how much we sexualize kids anyway. Like,
Well, here in the States, because like that same
Yeah,
thing
like
could
it-
be looked as art over in like France or
Well,
or some, but there's a sophistication.
but like in
perspective.
France, you're not generally going to see mom scream at the 5-year-old because he's playing with dolls and it'll make him gay. Like it's
Right.
not going to come into somebody else's mind necessarily.
Thinking about it
other
that
than.
Right.
Like there's, some countries, it's just not a cultural thing where it's going to come into their mind that this thing is going to affect my 5-year-old's sexuality. Basically, the only thing that's going to affect your 5-year-old's sexuality is if somebody rapes your child. And yeah, like that's,
That's it.
that's pretty much it.
Or they have some traumatic experience.
Right.
And generally, unless it's a sexual traumatic experience, it's not going to affect their sexuality.
One bit.
What about when you? What happens when you go through when? I'm
What are
sorry.
the physical effects of hormone therapy?
Oh, is that what I was getting ready to ask? I probably was. I was going there. I was going there.
So if your body's running on testosterone versus estrogen, folks with testosterone are going to have,
No hair.
vocal cords
A little
thicken.
bit.
In puberty, your vocal cords thicken, which makes your voice deeper.
Yes.
If you want an example of how much work it is to try and take the deepened vocal cords and make them sound more feminine, I can talk like this if you want. I'm not going to. I can even go like this.
Oh wow.
But that's all voice training though. Like that's something that not everybody can do. It's a lot of work and it sucks. So like if you have somebody who is a trans woman and she's having trouble trying to make her voice sound higher pitched, that's because it ain't easy. And that's something you see a lot of where people will clock someone, like they notice that they're trans, or in some cases they notice they're a cross-dresser because sometimes it's not always something that you can tell just by looking at someone. But yeah, the voice stuff is a big one, and people that are transmasculine and take testosterone will eventually have their vocal cords thicken and their voice will deepen. But your body's running on testosterone, your skin will be thicker and tougher, you'll have more body hair and also facial hair. Eventually, if you have enough testosterone long enough, you will start to have male pattern baldness most of the time. Higher muscle density and mass, especially in the upper body. And if you stop having testosterone in your system, you start having estrogen in your system, that slowly, for the most part, starts to reverse. Things that don't change are, bone structure doesn't change. Facial hair does not go away, unfortunately. Getting that removed is very expensive
Well, guess
and
what?
painful.
Yeah, ladies got that too. So that's,
It's like the facial.
I gotta tweeze
the
all the
facial
time,
hair.
come on.
The facial hair that you grow with estrogen in your system is nowhere near as thick or as painful to remove as it would be if you had testosterone in your system.
Like Chaz Bono.
Yeah, like, and you see, like, he, eventually grew more facial hair over the
Yeah.
years, and, like, we've gotten to see that, which is great for kids that have been, like, like, the kids that are transmasculine, and they've known that for years, actually have a public figure they can look at and be like, I'm like him. Or, Laverne Cox is, she's amazing. She's on Orange is the New Black, and
Yeah,
so
I
many
love
other
her.
things.
I
I
love
would
her.
get with her, but I was about that world.
Like,
You would get with anything.
No, I would not. But
Pulse, I'm in.
and not only is she an amazing actress, but she's also just a wonderful person too. And
Did
she's
you meet
a
her?
great. I have not. That
Oh,
would be
damn.
awesome.
she'll
But
shoot it with that.
I would let her shoot me with that all night long. Anyway,
right. With the,
no.
the machine
From
gun,
what I
right?
understand, she has a monogamous relationship, so no, that wouldn't happen. But like having public figures who are trans, that is one of the reasons why you see so many more kids these days realize they are trans younger, because they have better language to describe it. Like,
And it's safe. It's
and
safer.
it's getting safer relatively quickly. Like, I know when I was in high school, I went to high school in the middle of a cornfield in Illinois. Like, they literally, the school district bought a cornfield in the middle of other cornfields, plowed down a cornfield, and built a school building there, and that was a new school building. So I literally went to I literally went to school in a cornfield. But when I was there, there was one gay kid came out, and his family got run out of town because of all the vandalism and death threats. And last I heard, there were actually a couple of trans kids that were out at school, and they were being like not harassed about it, which is an amazing just over like a 12-year period there.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you notice a difference in acceptance? Because I feel like I see a lot of people, just because I have a 9-year-old, and I feel like I see a lot of people that are very like they let their children wait until they're a certain age to decide what their gender is and what they identify with, and
And that's great, but even more important is to just like, if your kid says they are another gender, let them do that.
right.
Like, it's not gonna hurt anything if your kid
change it.
decides
To let somebody be who
like-
they want to be.
Like, your kid's 5. They're not. Your
Right.
kid's 5. They're not going to be on hormones. Your kids, even when your kid's like 11, 12, they're not going to be on hormones. They're not going to do anything to change their body. Maybe they'll start puberty blockers when they get to that 12 to 14 range, somewhere in there.
So now I'm going to give you my.
That's scary to me.
I'm going to give you my cocaine side. My. Now I'm finding it questionable. That's, you're saying that certain kids, when they're at a certain age, whether they're under 10 or whatever, you're saying let them
I mean, they're kids.
experiment or.
If you're not going to be doing anything that's going to affect them for the rest of their lives, then whatever.
But how do you know that you're not going to?
Well, I can guarantee you, if your kid says, my gender's not what you think it is, and you are very verbal about denying that and berating them over it, well, they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives, and it's going to traumatize them because they know that you don't love them unconditionally.
Okay.
They will know for the entire rest of their lives, like I did, that you are only loved if you fulfill certain requirements.
And it creates a certain amount of distrust.
Oh, yeah, well, you will never be able to trust your parents again.
Well, you can't be vulnerable.
Well,
around them.
I mean, I look at my parents and I look at how they perceive a lot of the acts that I do. And it's taken them a long time, and I'm not trans. And a lot of their friends still don't have shunned them because she put a picture of me getting painted on the subway on the refrigerator. But so now some,
Oh,
Some
shit.
people,
So shitty.
you know, I mean, it's everybody's perception.
That wanting to judge. Everybody just wants to judge everybody else.
Yeah, and honestly, like less of that is good, but you know, obviously there's limits. Like, you know, if your kid is 10 and is like, you know, you thought they're your son, they say I'm a girl. Well, you don't do anything you wouldn't let your 10-year-old daughter do.
I'm glad you said that. All right. So let's stay along that path. Something you just said a few minutes ago in terms of, you know, young child, you just kind of let them act out or
Yeah.
to feel
And-
a sense of comfortability
Yeah.
where they are. But then let's do you use that same approach if a child happens to be sexual, so to speak, a perceived sexual, and they might want to strip, or there's this in other words, in terms of not being fully developed or have a true understanding of where they are
I see.
normally, under normal circumstances.
And now
Here's
we're
another way to say it. You said as a person, as a kid,
Yeah.
he's making decisions that doesn't affect them. So imagine I had a daughter who went at a young age said, I want to strip, and not no change that, but she want to strip. It doesn't affect at the age she is. She can't do nothing with it. But imagine she wanted to pursue that. Do we, as a parent, will we be happy about that too?
I mean, like, that's something that I'm not a parent. I can't tell you specifically that, you know, you should support or not support. Honestly, something like that, I'd think try and redirect your kid maybe. Like, be like, okay, like, I understand, like, that's what you say you want now. Maybe educate if they're the right age to learn more about that kind of thing so they can understand, like, what the actual negatives of that are. Because there are so many negatives.
How many parents don't agree with what a child or young adult want to be outside of trans?
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
They said
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
So do that shows that the parent less love? The parent less love?
I mean,
and would they be traumatized forever? Or that same thing?
You know, like, it really is one of those, it depends
I
on
think
how
that-
big of a deal it is for your kid.
I think that from when she grew up and where I grew up, it was very different than it is today. I think there's been major step forwards in acceptance of people being who they want to be. And I think that there still is a lot of places in this country, and there's still a lot of places in the world where whether it's trans, whether it's gay, whether it doesn't matter what it is, there are still a lot of parents that when you don't, and I know a lot of parents because I have 2 kids. There are a lot of parents, and I still hear stories about my kids who have a roommate who's trans, and he basically doesn't leave his room because his family doesn't talk to him. And that's, I don't know, 19-year-old kid.
How many same parents do the same thing if your kid wants to be an artist instead of work a regular job?
I had one. that did the same thing.
My mother almost disowned me.
So I would say that was true when me and you were coming up, but I'd say that's way less true today.
No, but that's all across the board. That's
Right.
trans.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean, like, it's going to be traumatizing for your kid when they know that, you know, the thing that they love doing, like, you want to be an artist, but you're worried forever that your parents not going to, like, love you anymore if you follow that. And yeah, like, that's gonna suck.
So I'm just saying that outside of trans,
Yeah.
that same mentality is, I can apply that to many things.
Now,
So
there's a lot of parallels there.
A young child that's a criminal. There's kids that start deal with criminality at a young age,
Mm-hmm.
and the parents do not want that to happen. And the kid is really, it may be some it may be a mental issue,
Or they,
there are many issues.
or they may just have grown up and had trauma by the time that they were old enough to start doing actual criminal activity. You know, like,
This is the reason why I say that a lot of the gay community, in my opinion, I've been picked on by gay people. And what I mean by that is being a straight male, I done had gay people try to bump into me in the street. I done had people on the train try to and they want me to react. So what I'm trying to say is, it goes both ways. And
Yeah.
another thing, gay people be like, yo, we want these rights, we want equal rights and all this stuff. At the same time, a lot of gays kind of bully straight men who don't conform to whatever they feel like it should be.
Toxic masculinity is a problem in pretty much
Everywhere.
every aspect of our
Doesn't matter if you're
culture.
gay or straight.
True.
But yeah, like that, and if you think about it, how many times do you think the same things happen to them because they were gay? So they're trying to get theirs back a little bit, and
Yeah.
you were not the person who was the right person to try and do that to. You just happened to be the one who was there at the time. So
I think it goes
yeah.
both ways. More,
Yeah.
I want to say more negative towards the gays, but I'm just going to say, in the past 10 years, I just talked about this with my ex-girlfriend. I've been bullied 3 times. If I put my hands on somebody, if I beat them up, right? Because I can't. A lot of times I cannot say all. Because I know some gangsters too. But I'm gonna say I get 90%. I can wipe up and down the street.
Yeah.
But if I do it, they automatically say I attacked the gay.
Right.
Instead of them saying that the person did some foul shit, the person automatically goes with the gay card. Or yo,
Yeah.
so it's almost it goes both ways. There's a lot of
Yeah, that's finally getting to the point where it's actually a difficult thing in our society because for the longest time it was
one way.
it was only going to be like the gay person being blamed if it was known they were gay. They're getting the blame for whatever happened.
Yep.
But I mean, like
Still
if
happens.
say this gay person that's trying to beat up straight dudes, he's or say he's just been some kid has been punched in the face by every person he's ever seen wearing a red shirt, and then he comes up walking down the street. There's this person with a red shirt, not paying attention, and he has the opportunity to just punch that guy in the face.
He's gonna punch him.
He's gonna punch him in the face. Like.
So speaking of punching in the face, can we see can we shoot Will in the ass with this gun already?
Oh, God.
Oh yeah, we should probably get to this at some point here.
I forgot. We got so caught up in the matrix of
Right.
transition that we totally forgot about the jammy. Tell us about the jammy.
All
since
right,
you
so we
were-
got a couple things going on with this here. Sorry, too loud. This
think?
specifically is the model of the actual primary blaster here is a U-channel Talon Claw bullpup. And for gun people, like a bullpup means the magazine's behind where the grip is. And this thing is powered by this big spring back here in the back. When we prime this all the way back, a dart pops up right here from the magazine. And then when we push it forward, the pusher thing puts it into the barrel. And then
Shit.
we can fire the darts. The thing on the top is actually something that my friend and I designed. You can actually go to our website. It's artificialarmory.com. If you've got something that has Picatinny rail on top, you can mount a mistress key. Origin
That sounds sexy, a mistress
yeah.
key.
The origin of the name is in Nerf, commonly a master key, which comes from actual gun terminology, is something that they integrate into the bottom front. But with a big pump like this, with the spring-powered ones, you can't really do that. So we made something you can put on the top. And this one's an experimental model, has a catch on both sides. Fires a larger size dart.
Oh wow.
Shit. It fronts like it's got a kick to it, boy.
Yeah.
You'll tell us how it feels in a minute.
And so you can see like the bigger dart does different things in different games when you're actually out in the field playing stuff. But we actually sell these. This version is going to be available soon. The present version's only got to catch on one side or the other, and you got to pick.
Oh, do I have to pick?
You don't have to pick.
Oh, thank God.
No, this one's got it on both sides, so it does either.
Jenna G,
Yes.
would you like to shoot me?
I would.
Here, I can go ahead and get it primed for you.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit of a heavy spring on this.
Well, but you may have to practice how to shoot.
No, she's fine.
No, I don't think I'll need.
I think you should
practice.
get a little further
Yeah, I was
apart,
gonna
though.
say
Yeah,
you
I'm
may
not
want
gonna do it right here.
You may want to back up to that back wall before you actually do it because
Definitely, yeah, I'll definitely.
it's going to sting. Not too bad, but
No,
it'll
well,
sting a bit.
Then why? Well, but why is it gonna sing with me? Why-
It's not gonna sting. She's playing with you.
It's gonna be fun.
So just go lean up against the wall.
It's not gonna be too bad. Keep that part pushed all the way forward because that's got the dart loaded in it. Yeah,
It's metal.
yeah. It's
metal.
it's made of metal and 3D printed plastic. Oh, if you tilt it forward too much, the dart will fall out.
Oh, okay.
You're good though.
All right,
Just point it where you want it to
and I'm
go.
pulling this, right?
Yep.
Oh, you're ready quick.
No, I'm just saying. Shit,
Okay,
man.
you ready?
Oh God! Oh man!
Did it really hurt like that?
Yeah.
Come over here and see.
It does not feel great at short range.
Oh.
It's firing that little dart out of there, something north of 200 feet per
Let me
second.
see. I'm sorry. Oh wait, it went on your.
No, you got me.
Oh, did she get you above the belt?
Did I? Where did I hit? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, just wait a little while and show her the welt, and she'll feel bad, and she'll have to kiss it, make
I
up.
already do feel bad. Let me see. Sorry.
Ow.
I thought it was gonna kind of bounce off of the your jeans, like the.
Yeah.
So these things are designed to actually be fired from quite a bit further away than that. And generally speaking, there's going to be somebody on the other side of a field of some kind, like something like this, usually a paintball field where there's a bunch of obstacles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a little close range.
I really didn't realize. You got in position so quickly, and I got excited. I did. You just were right there, and you were ready, like you were ready, and I was.
He's going to have to get a full massage later over that or something.
Jesus.
A little extra cuddling.
Shit.
Yeah. You want to cuddle?
Shit. My
But,
ass.
but usually you're having somebody on the other side with something similar firing back
Coming
at
back
you.
at you,
So
yeah.
you got to be a ways away because you can tell you that's
Yeah, man.
not the most fabulous feeling.
Yeah, because the way you did, because it sounded like it had a pop to it when you shot it over there, but the way it came out didn't look like it really did anything. But then when
Right.
you
That's
do it
what
right
I
here,
thought.
it
I
just-
thought the same thing. It seemed like it just went ooh, like it was flying nice,
Yeah.
not so. It
like,
really
ooh,
that
la,
really
la,
was
la,
rough.
Yeah, it's just shit. Yeah.
So now you guys know that these are real toys for
Yeah, it's
real
legit,
gameplay.
right?
Yeah,
It's legit.
it's hobby grade for a reason.
Shoot.
Great.
How long did it take to make something like this?
This is a couple of days on a 3D printer to print the plastic parts.
A couple of days.
Yeah,
Okay.
it builds it up layer by layer.
Wow.
So if you can see some of the layer lines on some of these parts because they're
Yeah.
not perfect, but it takes a while.
That's
but
amazing. That technology is really
Yeah,
I've seen houses then build houses with
Yeah.
3D printers. It's
And,
really
like,
really incredible.
The hobby grade printers are actually really affordable these days. I've got 3 different Ender 3 printers, which are right around the $200 each range.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
What
can
got you
build
into
your own
making
house.
these? Making this?
Okay, so I ran across a YouTube channel years back about modifying actual store Nerf blasters, and I got into the hobby from that, and I modified some of them, and then a few years into that, a guy called Captain Slug released the Caliburn, which this is a derivative of the original Caliburn design. And he actually did design this, except for this, which was the rail part was somebody else's design on that. But the main blaster is one of his designs, and he sells them on Etsy. And there's also Frontline Foam is a company that is a licensed seller for a whole bunch of different stuff, including the Mistress Key. It brings me back to the name. In Nerf, you'll see a Master Key as an underslung on the front thing, and usually an attachment. In real guns, a shotgun with a slug in it is a Master Key, and it's because you can open any door with it. But having something that did a different effect in games, like breaks shields or kills a person who's supposed to have superpowers in the game, it's something you usually have the bigger darts do because it's fun to have multiple things going on.
Destroy Captain America's shield.
Yeah, like if
Titanium. Shit.
Vibranium.
Vibranium. I'm just saying, yeah, vibranium. This is wow. How much? So I know we spoke about it earlier. How much would do arsenal like this usually would go for?
You can buy one of the Mistress keys up there. I think that version's like 42 right now. And then the actual blaster itself is anywhere between, you can get a really basic one for I think like 120 or so from a couple of different places. If I were going to custom build something like that, I'd probably charge around 400 for it. And that has to do with, the hardware itself and the actual 3D printing, what parts, like that shroud part over the front of it. You don't have to have the shroud. You could just have a rail on top.
What's a shroud? What's the shroud?
The green part up here
that's the shroud.
that covers the entire part of it. Like the stock version just has a rail along the top. Doesn't have the whole cool looking cover piece.
The stock?
The original version that doesn't have the upgrade to it.
Shit.
And there's all sorts of different stuff on hobby. There's we've got NYC Nerf Ops, which you can see they're all holding up different stuff
They're
there.
probably out there getting it
When was
in.
the last time that they were opping Nerfly?
Up in Nerfly. That sounds like fun.
It's been a couple months now since there have been any real games, and the last couple of games that they had, they usually do a monthly game, but for a couple months they had to have it to where like you had to keep your mask on the whole time you were anywhere near the field, maintain your social distancing, and most of the gameplay takes place at pretty good ranges to start with, so that's never like a huge issue. But it started getting colder, and they're like, you know what, we're just gonna skip the rest of the year. So probably next year, once it starts to warm up a little bit, they'll be doing monthly games again. And
Do you want to shoot me? You can shoot me back, but I just would like to get further away because now that we have that information, we didn't have that going in. We didn't have that going in. But I'm happy to go out in the hallway and you can shoot me if you.
No, I'm all right.
but as much as like this is a really cool high end thing, Nerf doesn't really cater to the hobby community so much now. In fact, they tend to Hasbro doesn't like us now.
You don't want your kids having these guns because you don't want to like wake up and come out of the shower and get shot in the nads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
that'd probably be a
And
bad idea.
Maybe get shot with by someone with not such good aim that you're getting
Yeah.
shot in a really bad place.
On an actual game field, eye protection is necessary. You
Sure.
can't go play without eye protection.
Do any type of gun groups or organizations support, or have you linked up with any? Do you think they would support it? Not support it?
Nerf has a really interesting relationship with firearms because there have been so many cases of people with a foam dart launcher of some variety, something that shoots a foam dart, getting mistaken for somebody with an actual gun. And people either just have the cops call on them or actually get shot by police when all they've got is a Nerf gun. It's happened so many times that a lot of the Nerf people just don't want any association with firearms or firearms groups of any kind.
That's why they don't like you. You said.
And it's
Or people that make this kind of thing.
it's a difficult relationship because there are people in the Nerf hobby that are also gun people. Like guns are a thing; they're not going to go away. So, but you
Maybe
don't
'cause
necessarily want to associate the two at all.
They can't shoot people like they would really want to, so then they can at least get that aggression out in the Nerf version.
And usually, people that are like, "I want to go shoot somebody with guns," they tend to go
Yeah,
for
you're-
paintball or airsoft or something like that, where they get to go out and pretend that they're an
Or
army
like
man.
target practice or something.
I can actually looking over the pieces of this. I can see y'all even partnering up with Lego, like some of it looks like it's like part Lego. I mean, you can
a little edgy
do
for
something
Lego.
else.
Well, the actual rails up here are actually to a military specification. Not exactly, because the mil-spec ones actually have an exact notch down in, whereas these ones have a curved thing because it's easier for the 3D printer to make it. But that actual rail system comes from your AR-15 platform.
Oh, I didn't
Like
realize.
that wasn't the first thing that had it, but that was the thing that really popularized Picatinny rail.
Shit.
Yeah.
Are you dating? Are you?
I actually have a fiance. Her
Okay.
name's Coraline, and she was going to try and be here tonight, but she managed to sleep on her neck wrong somehow, and she can't move her head side to side at all, and is in a lot of pain right now. So she's at home trying to recover.
Is she into guns and
She's
and weaponry?
not as much, but she thinks it's great that I am. So, I'm going to get her out playing on the field at some point soon.
That'd be awesome.
Okay.
I think Will would come to that day.
I don't know, man. Shit, getting shot in the air.
How's your ass
You
feeling?
didn't like
It's
that.
just getting this.
It's nowhere near as bad from longer range.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Because especially when you're 50, you gotta hold your pee, and you don't want nothing that's shooting you in your ass or nothing that's gonna make it poop out a little bit.
Oh.
Then
Poor baby.
I'm going
Yeah.
to cause more ass issues for you.
you know. Oh, you have to sit out.
No.
Oh yes, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So we're gonna wrap up. So tell us where are some places that we can find you. What are your social media handles?
I was going to say the main thing that I actually do on social media these days is Artificial Armory. We have a Facebook page. We're still working on an Instagram page. It's not ready yet. And an actual website is artificialarmory.com. And that's pretty much it at the moment, although we're trying to expand that. It's actually myself and my friend June. So she actually did the 3D modeling of these, whereas I handled most of the actual engineering of how this top piece right here actually works.
It needs a scope. Do you have any?
So how do we spell that?
You can actually,
for
one of
our
the nice
listeners,
things
by the
about this
way.
is you can actually mount the scope right on top of that because there's rail on top too. It was one of the big features that we actually wanted to make sure to have was to still have rail on top so you could put some sort of
Wow.
like a dot sight or a scope or something up top.
There you go.
Shit.
So let's spell out your URL for the listeners so they know exactly how to spell it. Because some of the listeners might not get artificial spell correctly. Or
I was
might
going to
think
say,
about they're
you think
thinking about the wrong
I can
arm.
spell?
Shoot. Her name is Tammy. Got a beach house in Miami. Rides around with a small jammy and a silk and satin panties.
So next time we're going to shoot you in the front, Will.
Now, so it's artificialarmory.com. It's artificialarmory.com.
What?
It's like, yeah, it's
you go.
artificial as in fake, armory as in where you'd have your weapons. So it's basically fake weapons.
weapon.
Oh, there you go.
Is we make fake
In a
weapons.
fancy way.
Shit. Yeah.
Artificial armory.
Nice.
And yeah, we're always working on new stuff. Like June's actually got a design for a crossbow, actually bow arm powered Nerf blaster that's going to be ridiculous when she actually gets it working right.
That's dope.
That's
Can't wait.
probably going to be our next big release thing that we do.
Cool.
Sweet.
So we can just do it all in one nice little package. Genergy, tell them where they can find you at, dear.
On Instagram at Jen Tattoos with a Z. And if you're interested in having a cuddle session, cuddlist.com /Jennifer L /. Yeah. Happy New Year, everybody.
Hardy B.
You can find me at Hardy Brooklyn, HARDY, Brooklyn like the borough.com or at hardybrooklyn.nyc on the Instagrams. And if you want to check out my podcast with Miss Michelle, Will's favorite person, it's the freeandopenmind.com. Have a great New Year, everyone.
And it's your boy Will BK. Of course, you can find me on Facebook, William Kirksey, KIRKSEY. You can find me on Instagram, on the Trip Over Radio Show, TRIPOVER, one R that is, TRIPOVERADIO. Also, you can find me on Will BK, WILLBEEKAY, also on Instagram.com. Also, and like I said, we're here on S Street Media. That's that letter S Street Media. And not only can you find the Trip Over Radio Show, you can also find other shows. And if you want to do your own show, you can also contact the people at S Street Media, and they'll tell you how to get down. So anyway, this was our final show, at least I think for this year. I think when is the first again?
Yeah, it's in about a week.
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday. See, there you go. All right. Well, maybe we got one more show this month. All right. What do I know? Oh, okay. then I'll say the same shit next week. But anyway, we're about to sign off right now. It's a Dream Over Radio Show, an alternative means of psychedelic masturbation. See y'all later.